Hello my friends and welcome back. It's Friday. Happy end of the week to you. I know I'm gonna have a cold brewski, cold one at the end of the day. Maybe I'm gonna have several, but straight after the workday, after I'm done with this video, I'm actually gonna go and shoot my weapon. We're gonna do some exercises. I am a reserve soldier in Estonia. That means I went through conscription and now I'm in the list of reservists. And I haven't shot my weapon for a long time. For too long that I would like to admit, so I'm gonna keep the skills fresh and let's practice. We begin today with analysis of a battle video. These videos sometimes come out at the same day, sometimes a few days later. This one comes from April the 6th, but it's so good and so big. I want to go through it, analyze it with you. This is a Russian convoy attacking Ukraine's 72nd Mechanized Brigade. I read you the numbers first. Russians lost, and it's all confirmed on the video. 5 tanks, 3 BMPs, 6 vehicles. What do we mean by vehicles? Well, it's everything that is not an armored personnel carrier and a tank. Could be a scooter, golf car, bukhanka van, something like that, and 53 infantry. Most of the destruction on the Russian side was done by the Ukrainian Bulava UAV battalion. I want to analyze it because this attack represents not an isolated event, but most Russian offensives happen this way. Look at it. This tank was taken out, infantry is dismounting, going on. The tank, which is stationary, is immediately taken out with drones. If one hit doesn't do it, they send many in. Actually, in fact, they send several at once into the air, going targets one by one. So it all starts with these convoys, tanks usually leading, BMPs following, and vehicles following them. And the first tanks are usually these turtle tanks, whatever you want to call them, Frankenstein tanks. They have built these armored cages around them, which means it takes several FPV hits to take this out. Ukrainians always take them out, but it doesn't take 1 or 2 like it does with a regular T-72. It takes 4, maybe 5 FPV hits. This way they soak up these FPVs. But Ukrainians have plenty of them. First one is immobilized. Second one very soon to be immobilized. Then the crew dismounts and immediately sprints to the nearest tree line where, they mostly make it, and then Ukrainian Baba Yagas and FPVs start hunting them down. FPVs connect to them, Baba Yagas drop munitions one by one to the infantry, like this you can see on the screen. These assaults with such magnitude happen weekly on Ukrainian positions, and mostly they just fail. Now I want to show you another video. This is the 129th Brigade of Ukraine, and what they are using is a great tactic. Baba Yaga, the big rotor drone, is dropping something. This is a mine. It's not explosive that explodes immediately. It is a mine that will be armed as soon as it touches the ground. They're in fact right now mining the roads. They're mining Russian logistic roads and roads that Russia used to attack. Because believe it or not, they do attack on columns on the roads. Why? Don't ask me. They mine them, drop explosives on the road, easy as that, and boom, Russians are attacking on these roads and immediately drive into the mines. And these vehicles will be finished up with FPV since they cannot move anymore. As I said in the previous analysis, just now, usually the crew dismounts and runs to the forest. We see in this video 3 trucks removed just by remote mining these roads. It's a very cheap and effective way to take out Russian vehicles while not putting your forces at risk, because no men will be involved. It's only drones that are doing the job. You get the idea. I'm not going to show the rest to you. And the last video I want to show you, we got that yesterday. It shows the newest way how Russians are transporting their men by the kilogram. There's no Ivan, there's no Vova, it's just men by the kilogram. Look at that. It's like an ATV vehicle, ATV, and behind it is a little bit of a trolley, and both of these are filled to the brink. I think there's a whole squad on these 2 platforms here. This is an attack we see happening almost daily with 1 or 2 vehicles. The big one I mentioned on April 6th, that's like a weekly thing. But 1 or 2 vehicles, 1 to 2 squads sent to test Ukrainian defenses. That's a daily occurrence. That's how we get those big 1,000+ Russian losses, out of which 1/3 is KIAs. My friends, Trump has unleashed an unprecedented trade war, and whoever owns these news houses pushes their own agenda with the wording, for example. This is why I bring to you Ground News, the #1 news comparison site in the world, and it's a great tool I use. Here we have EU to prepare countermeasures to the US, and we can see the coverage details immediately on the right. Here you can see the bias distribution right below it, visualizing it where these news houses and news pages are with their political standing. We have the factuality right here, which I would call the most important of all. Of course, we have the ownership tab, which shows you very nicely and visually who owns it and what might be their agenda. Now here we can see all of the articles, and very interesting is to see where their wording differs. Title by title, news site to news site. You can just see it right here compared to each other. For example, we have the NOS media conglomerate. It immediately tells you that. It's a media conglomerate. We have the local AT, high factuality. These things are very important if you choose what to fill your mind with. Gotta be high factuality, gotta be center. All of these tools are very easily accessible for you, and for a limited time, you can get the same plan I use for nearly half of the price. Just go to ground.news/Artur or scan the QR code on the screen to get their unlimited access Vantage plan for just $5 a month. Or gift it to someone you know and have more informed conversations. Call out one-sided narratives and have more in-depth conversations about the stories shaping our world. I only promote brands I vet, and I think you will find Ground News as valuable as I do. Thank you, Ground News, for sponsoring today's video. My friends, on March 31st, so it's 11 days ago, Ukrainians, I know it's like 1.5 weeks ago, but information comes with a delay on these attacks, and now we have even more information. With this animation, it's beautiful because Ukraine sent out 150 drones onto the areas bordering Ukraine, and they mostly struck Russian airfields, and we can see where the drones landed. Some of them were shot down, but most of them landed, and there was a lot of destruction. One specific one I want to mention, very important, is Tu-22M3. We looked at this airfield in the last video. I think you remember this photo. This destruction is confirmed by General Syrsky, actually the chief of the Ukrainian armed forces. The plane is valued at $100 million. Now, of course, it doesn't cost that nowadays, but it did when it was made, and Russia doesn't produce them anymore. They cannot, and they don't want. It's very expensive. So it's a very big loss for the Russians because they use Tu-22s actively nowadays to bombard Ukrainians. They release missiles from these planes. So you take them out, Russians don't produce anymore. It is a big loss. Here you can see where the airfield was, still is located, but the plane is not there anymore because it's destroyed. And here is everything that was hit. I remember it was on the southern eastern side of that airfield, everything that is confirmed hit. Always take it with a grain of salt if you see, 300 million plane lost Tu-95 or 100 million plane lost Tu-22. Right, the cost which it was when it was new, a lot of resources went into producing these planes in the Soviet Union, and since it's a limited amount that Russia has operational, they cannot make them anymore. That's why the cost is so high. Of course, Russia doesn't lose this amount because they didn't pay it. The Soviet Union paid it, but still, it's a massive loss losing one of these planes. Now, my friends, we'll jump to Belgorod, or Belgorod, as the Ukrainians would put it. And Russia built out, in the last 2 years, a whole defensive lines on Kursk and Belgorod. These are Russian oblasts bordering Ukraine. They built out the defensive line, which consists of, you can see it on the screen, anti-tank obstacles. Here it's Dragon's Teeth, 3 rows of it. Then there's this wall, earthworks. This is not an anti-tank ditch. It is a physical wall of earthworks piled into like I'm sorry, a bump or a mountain. Sorry for my English here. And this is supposed to keep Ukrainian tanks away, right? I'm here to tell you that this works. It does work, as we, the Baltics and Poland, we're doing the same thing. But we are putting also an anti-tank ditch here. We're going to mine this, and we're going to put surveillance to the hell of it. We're going to surveil the hell out of it. We're going to watch every inch. What the Russians did is they invested 10 billion rubles to build this out without any firing sectors, any active artillery crews looking at this, any surveillance. Meaning, yes, it's just a physical obstacle. You can just break through at any moment with nobody watching you do it. This is a Ukrainian drone filming Ukrainian tanks cross into Russian Belgorod Oblast. They just smashed through the earthwork, no problem there. They just smashed through the anti-tank obstacles, which you can just push aside, right? If you don't have firing sectors here, artillery crews ready and drone crews ready, surveilling all the time what's going on, you could attack them right now. This is what we are going to do in the Baltics on the Eastern Wall we're building out. But Russians don't do that. They don't really put much money into surveillance. They just build out the obstacle to have it. Okay, we did it. It's done, right? 10 billion put into good use. But yeah, now Ukrainians, I mean, these vehicles, at least these specific ones, are in Belgorod Oblast. Also, we have confirmations that Abrams tanks entered Belgorod Oblast. Now we jump into Bakhmut because Russian main offensive are happening in two areas. It's Kursk and Bakhmut. Yeah, in Kursk, Ukrainians still hold a very minor positions on Russian Kursk Oblast. But in Bakhmut, Russians have these logistic roads, which Ukrainians love to shoot at with artillery and FPVs. And what happens after a long time is that Russian destroyed logistic vehicles pile up on the roads and they clog the roads. So what they do at this time, they have these logistical road cleaning operations once a week, twice a week, right? What they do is they have a bunch of trucks which gather up the destroyed vehicles, be it a BMP or a BTR or a Bukanka, anything that it is, they load it on top and they just clean it up. But the question here, why doesn't Ukraine destroy these vehicles who are loading up and cleaning these logistical roads? The answer will come in a few seconds in this video. Give me time if I see it. Boom, you see these antennas. This is a drone jammer vehicle. Each of these antennas is one of the jammers, and you need several jammers. It doesn't work that you have one super jammer. You want to jam a certain area of drone frequencies. Well, one of these antennas and one jammer is about this big. It costs about $2 to $3K. We gave a lot of them to Ukrainians, we know it. And each of these jammers jams a certain fixed frequency. You cannot jam everything because you need your drones to fly. So you just jam this frequency, this frequency, this frequency. Each of these jammers takes up one of these frequencies and jams it. So Ukrainian drones without cable, just regular drones, would have an issue flying in this area because about 500 meters around this vehicle is pretty much jammed. Of course, if it's a fiber optic cable drone, it can still fly. Plus, Ukrainians and Russians both are using a system that uses frequency hopping, meaning if a drone flies and it detects a certain frequency being jammed, like we see here with these antennas, it immediately hops to other frequency. And this, but probably since there's so many jammers, that is also jammed. So fiber optic cable would do the trick here. Commander-in-Chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Alexander Syrsky, confirms for the first time Russians' forces have effectively launched their offensive in the Sumy and Kharkiv regions, and these are these northeastern regions of Ukraine, these two oblasts regions bordering Russian Kursk and Belgorod Oblast. I want to tell you a few things about it. This information comes straight from the Ukrainian Chief of Staff. But there's an issue. We don't see, on the satellite imagery and on the ground, OSINT, we don't see open source intelligence. We don't see Russians having any kind of reserves in these areas to start a massive offensive operations. They have almost as much troops on these oblasts as Ukraine has on their Sumy and Kharkiv oblasts, which means the troop concentrations are 1-to-1 or 1-to-2, with Russians having maybe a slight numeral superiority, but it's not enough to start any kind of massive assault operations like Syrsky is claiming. Like this, you can see it on the screen. We have seen Ukrainians doing this trick before. Remember 2022 Kharkiv and Kherson operations? In Kherson, when they started their offensive, Ukrainians, and they were very successful with it, almost every Ukrainian officer was talking about Russians attacking Kharkiv and Ukrainians attacking Kharkiv. Ukrainians attacking from Kharkiv. So all of the focus was something is happening in Kharkiv. Russians are attacking us. We're attacking them. Boo, boo. And suddenly, you got 10K plus troops, a few brigades, starting their offensive in Kherson, and that was very successful. I'm going to tell you now, we don't have any information of Russians having massive concentrations of armored vehicles, tanks, Bukhanka vehicles, whatever, troops in Kursk or Belgorod regions, not big enough to cross the borders. They're trying small recon battles, but nothing like Syrsky is claiming here that the massive spring offensive has started. I'm going to say this is information operation. Intel op that is meant for Russians not to know where Ukrainians are going to do the next push. Now, my friends, I mentioned Kherson to you. Well, let's go a little bit west from Kherson. It's still southern front. It's Zaporizhzhia. Ukrainians have built out about 10 clicks from the front in Zaporizhzhia. Secondary defensive line, you know, the first one is the front, the zero line, and that's the secondary line and the third line. This is the second and the third line, and this is what they look like. It's very well built out. They are dry, they have wooded sides, they have anti-drone netting on top. Of course, if you drop a massive amount of glide bombs onto it, they still burn and be destroyed. But these do save the lives of the men inside a lot better than any kind of foxhole or ditch you can dig by hand. This is a well built out line. There's definitely shooting positions here and artillery positions to just take out anything advancing towards it. This is what a line should look like. And I'm going to tell you, we are building these very same lines in Estonia on the eastern border. These we're building bunkers for ammunition, bunkers for men, and bunkers for vehicles and artillery right next to the border. Same is done by Latvia and Lithuania. We're also going to mine the border, dig an anti-tank ditch, put dragon's teeth, and put a massive amount of stationary jammers on the border. It's going to be a physical and electronic wall against the Russians. That's what we're doing in the Baltics here. Just to show you here what the Ukrainians are doing, almost the exact same thing, and they know what's good because they fight that kind of warfare all the time. We're going to learn from them and bring back the Second World War style trench systems because they work against the Russians. We've talked so much about military now. I'm going to go a little bit, touch a different subject, which is animals in the war zone, dogs in Kramatorsk in this instance. There's a lot of information about it. I spare you from it, but this time I want to share it. Look at this photo. This is Kramatorsk, and this is a dog feeding system and a cat, and just an animal feeding system. It's a tube, and you put food on top, and they can eat from the bottom. I'll just show you the video. Sorry, what am I yapping here? Check it out. This is how it works. So anybody can fill it. Any volunteer in this area can just put meat or dog food in it, and the dog eats here, goes away, and it falls and falls so other dogs can eat also. It's like semi-automatic feeding system for dogs and cats in the front lines. I love to see this. I always see Ukrainians doing it, never the Russians. But this, you know, people who run away from the front, they have to flee with their families. They sometimes cannot get the animals with them because the animals run to the forest or are afraid they cannot find them, or it's sometimes just hard to take them. This ensures, even the soldiers can fill it up, this ensures semi-automatic feeding cycles for dogs and cats on the fronts, which are domesticated. And I'm so glad to see it. So, yeah. And here, why is it special is we can see all kind of organization on the front by Ukrainian civilians and soldiers. We see animals doing the same. It's wartime. Bombs are falling, but look at that. Instead of going super wild and attacking everybody and eating meats of whatever is moving around, they're lining up for these semi-automatic feeding systems, waiting one by one until the next dog eats. The others just wait until their turn. If anything is a civil society, during wartime, I mean, this is an animal instance of civil society. I would say Ukrainian animals have a massive amount of organization, and I love to see that. Connected to the topic a little bit, again, I don't mention this kind of stuff a lot, but in the last summer of 2024, a Russian tanker sunk in the Black Sea. The terrible consequences of the environmental disaster in the Black Sea. Dead red-listed dolphins and new oil stains have been found off the coast of annexed Crimea. After the sinking of Russian tankers in the Kerch Strait, more than 60 kilometers of beaches from Anapa to the Crimean Bridge were contaminated. And this, Russians don't really care much about the environment. It's a cultural thing. So these oil stains have not been cleaned up at all. Nothing has been done about them almost. And here we can see dead dolphins on the beach. And if it's a sandy beach, you can see oil everywhere still, like almost a year later. So this is an environmental disaster, which is not talked about because war is going on, right? But if there were no war, this would be massive news. I just want to put it out there so you guys know. My friends, in the last video, we had no new names on the Buy Me a Coffee list, so a lot of you joined up, and I'm thankful. So I wanna send you guys this patch. Everybody who is a monthly member will get this patch. And also I'm gonna be butchering your name into oblivion with my Estonian pronunciation. Let's go. Freeman Hreinsson, Luksine Turner, Keifer Bell, Brian Makuire, Bartos Claudiu, Dan Henson. Thank you to these six people, not 5 but 6. Thank you, my friends. If you like the channel, sign up as a monthly member and buy me a coffee. Now we're going to jump to European Union because the United States general, forgive me if I'm wrong here, was he a 3-star or 4-star General Cavoli, answered questions to the Congress, and what he said, he has 38 years in the US military. He's a very, very experienced US military general, and what he said is really enlightening, really suggested to the United States not to pull out troops from Poland. The White House announced that they will be pulling out about half of the capabilities from Eastern Europe. It's 10,000 troops, and they will be lessening their presence in the Rehi airfield, which is the main logistics supply hub for all Western military aid to Ukraine. General Cavoli really recommended not to do this. Congressmen asked him questions, and they asked a few very direct questions. Was one, is Russia winning? Cavoli answered very directly, no. Then they asked, is Ukraine winning? Cavoli asked, they're not winning, but they are definitely not losing. There's truth in this answer. And finally, one of the main things that Cavoli described is the effectiveness and quality of the Russian armed forces ground troops. He stated that in the past 3 to 4 years, Russian forces ground troops have gradually degraded. Their quality has degraded a lot. Their quantity has gone up, but quality degraded a lot. Their fighting ability degraded. This comes from I would say an expert on this matter, because 38 years in the US military and he's stationed in Europe as the chief of the US presence in Europe. I trust what he says, and his communication is quite the opposite of what Trump is saying. That Russians are winning and Russians are advancing and bombing like crazy. Quite the opposite is true. What else Cavoli said, and he stated that Ukrainian position right now in the war is a lot better than it was 6 months ago or a year ago. This is where I will get my information instead of the White House right now. General Cavoli. Now, talking about the European Union, we go to Eastern Europe, we go to Poland. So this came out yesterday. This is Polish border, razor wire deployed right here. And we can already see a Polish soldier running. This is a migrant trying to get through. What Belarus is doing, they are using knowingly the migrant weapon. They have stations set up in Central and Northern Africa of funneling migrants there to Belarus and then just pushing them to no man's land, saying that go to Poland. They do that. They are given bicycles, they're giving razor cutting capabilities, and this guy just got stuck in the barbed wire and the Polish border guard is running. Why are check this out, too fast and furious, the guy is drifting to presence, boom. There's no way this guy is arrested. He's being sent back. The Polish don't play around. They send everybody back. The thing is, why Russia and Belarus are doing it? They are testing the reaction speed and reaction strength of Poland and Lithuania and the borders. Polish are reacting very strong and very fast. I love to see that. Same as Lithuania. They're not playing around. And also the breaking of the cables in the Baltic Sea, for example. This way also Russians can see how fast Estonian, Swedish and Finnish navies react. It gives them an idea where we stand with our reaction capabilities. It gives them a lot of information, at the same time damaging our infrastructure. And this attack on the border, every day these migrants are trying to cross, they are guided by Belarusian forces. Now I want to talk a little bit, with everything Trump is doing right now, I think he's sowing division and protectionism instead of unitedness and globalism. In my soul, I'm a globalist because Estonia, every security, every strength we have is because we have strong friends and we do everything to keep them. So we need globalization to keep our country, otherwise Russia runs over us. We do as much as we can, but we still need strong friends. So I want to take the example of Brexit. You all know, if you're from US, you've heard about it. It's the United Kingdom leaving the European Union. They voted democratically to do this. 52% of the voters in UK voted to get out of the EU. They wanted to get out. They wanted more control. They wanted less migrants, less immigrants. They wanted, it was presented as a patriotic thing to do. Let's get away from that Euro trash. Well, now almost 10 years later, we have the financial and any kind of statistics, and we have the answer. How does it work if you leave the European Union? It all began in June 2016. 52% of UK voters chose to leave the European Union. The promise: more control, more money, more independence. The reality: a lot more complicated and painful for the economy. Leaving the EU meant one major thing: trading barriers. And I said it many times, the less trading barriers there is, the more free trade there is, the richer the economies taking part in that free trade will be, the richer the people in those countries will be. Before Brexit, UK businesses could sell freely across Europe. After Brexit, tariffs, border checks, red tape and delays became the norm. Between 21 and 23, the damage became obvious. Exports fell by 27%, imports dropped by 32%. Why? The costs went up. And we see a resemblance to Trump's tariffs right now. Trump has also his own union. I cannot call it a union, but Canada, United States and Mexico. It's a very strong trio together that needs to stick together. The North American continent is a wonderful free trade example to the world. But Trump's tariffs they're going the Brexit way right now with the United States. And we have an example and experience how this works out. It doesn't. Supply chains got messy. Many EU customers started buying elsewhere. The hit didn't stop at trade. London, once a top global financial hub, lost its edge. Banks couldn't serve EU clients easily anymore. Many shifted operations to Paris or Frankfurt. I'm not going to go forward anymore, but we have 10 years of data of a textbook protectionist action. UK voting democratically to get away from the European Union, the globalist United Union, whatever you want to call it. It really hurt their economy bad. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'll end with a video coming from Moscow. This came out yesterday. How Moscow air defense crews, mobile air defense crews, opened fire on a UAV, whatever. They thought it's a Ukrainian drone. What it really was a Russian chopper. It was a Moscow helicopter, right? The air defense crews didn't know what it was. They just opened fire. Moscow is a massive urbanized area, meaning all of these bullets you see going up, and every fourth or fifth one is a tracer. So there's a massive amount of bullets you don't see right now. They will be coming down into an urbanized area almost with the same speed they went up, a little bit lower. They will be destroying cars, windows, buildings. Somebody might get hit, actually. These bullets will land in Moscow urbanized area. If you think a little bit about it, they open fire, friendly fire on their chopper, and these bullets destroying, it's crazy stupid to shoot like that in a massive urbanized area. But it's Moscow. What are you going to teach them? So the chopper actually got hit. It burned. You cannot see it here. We have information about it. Let me go to it. The chopper caught flames and it landed. And the Russians were so embarrassed by it, they didn't want to say it was their own chopper. We know it was, but they claimed it was a Ukrainian RZ-500 drone. You can see it here. It's one of these new Ukraine drone tech. Well, it's it's a drone helicopter that carries a missile. It's a wonderful piece of tech. I love it. But Ukraine hasn't deployed them into battle yet. So Russians are claiming it was that, instead of admitting that they just shot down their own chopper in a massively urbanized area, that all of the bullets connected to their own buildings and cars and everything. So it was a really embarrassing thing for Moscow air defense to admit. So Putin could ask this beautiful question: what air defense doing? And I will end this video in a similar topic. I mean, that was Moscow, but here is Kharkiv. It's a few days ago, Russia sent over 100 drones into Ukraine. Massive amount of them went to Kharkiv. This is Kharkiv air defense doing the same thing. And again, these bullets are also landing somewhere, but so many drones. We even see flak fire here. It's crazy. This kind of footage usually comes out of World War II, but no, this is Kharkiv a few days ago. And you can hear the buzzing of the Shahed drones. Yeah. Ukrainians destroyed a lot of them connected also, and there was a lot of damage. So this is Trump's ceasefire. Trump is claiming that, we have a ceasefire deal, we're making progress with the Russians. I'm here to say that no, the Russians are playing Trump. Trump doesn't understand it for some reason. I don't know if you're from America, maybe you can, can you do something? Can you send letters to your representatives? Let's educate Trump, because he has really no idea what's going on in Ukraine. Russia's bombarding as they want. They're playing Trump as they want. Okay, my friends, this is it. I'll try to keep these videos shorter, but there's so much information I want to show you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here and devoting your time. I promise not to waste it. Tomorrow is Saturday. That means every channel member on YouTube, if you have joined up, you will get 4 extra videos per month. Every Saturday you will get this video if you're a channel member. So sign up, links in the description below. It's only 99 cents, by the way, like the Arizona iced tea. Never will be more expensive. I watched a video of the Arizona iced tea CEO saying, we have paid off all the loans and everything, and we don't want to make it more expensive. Arizona iced tea hasn't gotten more expensive for the last 25 years, I think. So I really like that message. So this is also only 99 cents for you, my friends. Thank you, and until my next video, Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye. Thank you, Crown News, for sponsoring today's video.